Hey, and welcome back to Love Selfishly, where I share my personal stories and experiences about self love, motherhood, relationships, and mental health. Flourishing to be our true, authentic selves and being unapologetic about it. Don't think yourself less, don't settle for less, and don't set yourself for last. I'm your host, Sasha. Today episode, I want to talk about realism of motherhood and the reality of postpartum depression. I know this topic is being bring more awareness in the motherhood community, but it's still not being talked enough um, on this topic of postpartum depression. And why I want to talk about it is because I made being a mother a part of my whole identity, questioning if this is motherhood and this is what it's going to look like in the long run until she turns 18. I took the time to reflect on my postpartum um, because, baby, it was rough. It was super rough. I don't want to go through it again. I hope I don't go through it again or go through the same experiences if I ever decided to have another child. And I wish I had more support during that time and recollect myself. What is postpartum depression? Well, postpartum depression happens after giving birth and it causes a consistent of sadness, anxiety, having a hard time to bond with your baby, and having a hard time adjusting to motherhood of the demands that comes with it. In my opinion, I feel like postpartum depression should have been talked about in sex ed class. So both boys and girls, teenage boys and girls, know what it is and what to expect. And I feel like society, people don't talk about the other side, the not so good part of motherhood and, going through labor and birth because it's a hard time for every parents, not just for the mother, but for the father too. And and I think they're just worried that we will just reconsider and just run the other direction and we'll be living that bachelorette life for eternity, which it should be our decisions anyway. And and so because of that, we lack the understanding and the support that we need during these sensitive times. And although postpartum depression wasn't my finest moment, I still want to be a mother. I would still like to have cute mini me's running in my house, calling me mommy. And I love being a mom. So there's nothing that I wouldn't change about it. But I would like to be more aware of what I was getting myself into and have the resources that I could rely on. And that's why emotional support during postpartum, I believe within the first year or two, is so essential for us. It's because we're still adjusting to motherhood. We still need that support. I lost my best support system, and that was my mother. And so returning home from the hospital, I've noticed that it was just hard for me to bond with my baby. And I guess that's just the first sign of postpartum depression, but I didn't think nothing of it. This is my third day of being a mom, but first day home with my baby. And my body was still changing. I was still adjusting to this whole new change that was happening in my life that I didn't really share it with anyone because I was just too embarrassed. Like they all say that, as soon you see your baby, you have that big connection, that big bond, that big spark. And I didn't get that. I was so exhausted mentally and physically. And so, excuse me, I've been sneezing. And so, yeah, I was so embarrassed to tell anyone. And like, I guess also feeling a little guilty for not having that bonding moment with my baby. And so when my mother was home with me and my daughter father, I had time to sleep in a little bit if, the next morning day to get some couple of hours shut eye. I was able to take care of myself, like take a shower, brush my teeth, all the basic things. And I had a good balance of motherhood. I mostly focused on the baby, while like my mom did like the cooking and also helped me with the baby when I need a break. And so I thought I dodged the bullet um, of getting postpartum depression. And I think it's just been like a week or two since I came home from the hospital. So I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm good. This is really good. Until my mother had to go back home in February. And that's when reality kicked in. I just also want to clarify that, like, my mother wasn't just my only support. Like, of course, like my daughter, grandmother, and her aunt was there to help whenever they can. But I was just more comfortable with my mother because she's my mom. She was there during my labor and during my birth. And yeah, like I just know, I guess I know what to expect of my mom. But waking up like every hour or so and to breastfeed and then to switch to bottle because like I was having a hard time, I guess, producing breast milk and changing the diaper and then add on more stress. I had to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner while taking care of my baby. And then I was also going to school and working a full time job. So, all of that, it was overly overwhelming for me. Like, I was just, I wouldn't take care of myself until like it's time for bed. And that's like the only time I have my downtime because like I'm just literally just on my toes, running around the house, doing the laundry, the cleaning, and then taking care of our dog. It was a lot. And I'm not saying the father wasn't contributing. Um, it was that he worked in the morning. I'm there with her all day. I'm also like driving back and forth from her grandmother house and all that. So that's where it was really overwhelming. And I started to miss my old life. I started to have thoughts like the freedom that I had, the time to sleep in and wake up whenever I want. I guess the freedom is just the one thing that I just miss the most. Um, and I think that, like my whole life would revolve around my daughter until she turns 18. And I think I just kind of like slowly started to admit to it, but like it was slowly depressing because it's just like I can't be who I was before my child. Like I felt like that was not allowed. And so I started to cry every day, every night. When I take my long showers, and like bursting into tears. Um, and I think because it was the lack of emotional support. Like, even though, my daughter father tried to help out, but the marriage wasn't the best. As if you listen to the previous episode, the marriage wasn't the best. So I didn't really have that emotional support for him, which I needed the most. Um, didn't really talk to, the mother or his sister about it. I kind of just kept it to myself. And I did have friends living here in Utah, but one lived really far, and then my two other friends moved out of state. So I was alone. I was completely alone, and I felt like I had no one to talk to. And I also didn't feel comfortable talking about it with my mother. So that's where, yeah, that's where the tough time. I think that's when it really kicked in, where I felt alone and I didn't get that emotional support that I needed through my sensitive time of postpartum depression. And so my father always tells me, your life isn't over just because you have a child. Out of all the things that my dad will be telling me, this one stuck with me the most. He also told me that I could do anything because of my brain and the education that I received as a child. And I will say, when shit gets hard, my dad gives me strength, wisdom, and compassion. And so I really appreciate that when he said that to me. And I think around that time as well, it's like when I realized that I'm so much more than just a mother. You see, I thought I reached the end of my life. I was dedicated to be a wife and a mother, nothing more. In a way, I learned to adjust and accept it as it is. I mean, like, this is my life, and I'm gonna stick by it. So having that mindset made me even more depressed, because it's just like I no longer have my own life. I don't own it anymore. She's gone. Who I was before this new life, I can never get her back. I sacrificed myself. I sacrificed my happiness. What else is new? Um, it wasn't until, though, a year after the separation that I started to reflecting on who I was as an individual. I gave up so much of myself trying to be the perfect daughter, a good friend, a good girlfriend, a good wife, and a super mom, that I don't know anything about myself. Even prior, before I started um, my own life, my own life, I didn't really know who I was. Like, I didn't know what I like, what I dislike. Um, and so I was like, okay, what are my values and morals? What are my weaknesses and where are my strengths? What do I want from myself in a relationship with myself and with my friends and family and lover? Who the heck is Sasha outside of, being a mother? A mystery journey. I took the time to work on myself and to have a better relationship with myself. I kind of started to go on solo dates, um, just to do the things that I enjoy doing. And so, yeah, I started to set standards for myself and go out. I began to live again, and redefine motherhood and what it means to me the most. And I did like a little poet. I'm a Shakespeare on this, but not as good as him. But I think this is like what it means to be a mom. So I'm gonna read it. Being a mom doesn't mean giving up self. Being a mom doesn't mean all dreams comes to a complete halt. Being a mom doesn't mean giving up all of your happiness. Being a mom doesn't mean it's the end. Being a mom is a new journey to a new chapter of womanhood. Being a mom is sharing your life with your baby about love, joy, and compassion. And being a mom is what you define motherhood. Yes, give me my snaps. Kill that, huh? So yeah, like I'm a mom. I still like to go out, clubbing, to lounge, social drink, hang out with my friends. I have so much to live for and want to accomplish so much um, in my life for me and just to feel whole. Oh, being a mom means feeling whole. It's just like, just because like you have this whole new life doesn't mean you should sacrifice yourself. I'm Before I was a mom, I was Sasha. Before I was a mom, I did this. And trying to have that perfect balance in your life as a mother, and nothing is impossible. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise just because you're a mom. So, I love being a mom. It's the best thing that has ever happened to me and giving me meaning and purpose in life. Motherhood does have its challenges, but it is beautiful. Don't feel ashamed or guilty about how you think and how you are adjusting to your new life. Every woman journeys and experience of motherhood is different, and we handle them differently. It does take a village to take care of a child, especially in the beginning of being a first time mom. So please communicate with your husband, boyfriend, friends, in laws, and other moms for help. And I promise you, you are not alone. The last thing I don't, the last thing is don't let the stigma of motherhood, like, to stuck it up and, well, this is what you asked for, from expressing your emotion. Don't let it stop expressing your emotion. When you are ready and feeling like yourself is into the first step of taking care of yourself. You know, if you just need a day of like not being a mom, take that opportunity. All right, y'all. This is it for today podcast episode of Love Selfishly. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button to hear more of this type of content. And don't forget to like and comment. All right. Bye.